Hello and welcome to New Planet School. In this video I'm going to discuss the Lego EV3 robot, just giving an introduction, not going into a lot of details, mainly just to give an overview of what it is, what you can do with it, and in later videos I'll cover some of the details. So in particular what I'll cover is I'll give some background and history for those of you not that familiar with this particular robot so you can know what it does, where it came from. Then I'll focus on the various EV3 kits because there are some that are developed for home, some are developed for education, and if you're going to go buy one, you might want to give some thought into which one you might want, what the similarities and differences are. Then I'll focus on the home kit and talk about some of the projects that you can do with this kit, and in particular how you can get the instructions to build those projects because the kit itself only comes with instructions for one project, and you really want to go online so you can get the instructions for 17 different robots, and I'll describe how you do that. One of the first things you need to do is download and learn how to use the software that comes with it. That's very important, so I'll cover that briefly, and then I will actually open up a box with an actual EV3 in it and do a little simple demo so you can see what this robot can do. So let's get started. History. The Lego was released, this Mindstorm Lego kit was released in 1998. It was actually under development quite a bit before this, but that's when the first one was released. So it's been around for a long time, so there's a big community, and it's been through several generations, so it's gotten to be pretty sophisticated. What is the Mindstorm? It's basically a software and hardware kit for doing robotics. Mainly it's hardware because it is an actual robot, but there's software associated with it mainly to program it and also to be able to control it. So it's a pretty flexible kit. The central part of the robot is built around what's called a programmable brick. That is the brains. It looks like this. And it can interface with various sensors and various motors. So if you want to think about it, the brick is the brain, it's the computer, the various sensors is like how you go out and sense the environment, and then the motor is the muscles that make things happen. And so these three things are put together to do a wide variety of different things. This idea originated at the MIT Media Lab. They had started developing these sorts of ideas and started working with Lego actually almost 10 years before they actually released something, and they continue to work together today. To program this brick, Lego provides a programming language that was developed by National Instruments, which is called LabVIEW. And the nice thing about LabVIEW is that it's driven by pictures. So you have these icons that you link together, and each of these icons is an instruction, and you just carry out the instructions or the recipe according to what these icons do, and it's extremely visual and easy to use. Now, if you're used to programming in some other language, it's not too surprising that the community for previous generations has developed ways of programming it through all of the modern languages, C, Java, Python, and so forth, and you can do it that way too. But what Lego provides is this LabVIEW language, is very visual, and I'll show you a little bit of that later. The latest version, up until very recently, was called the NXT2, and that was just recently replaced as I'm making this video on September 1st, 2003. That's when it was released to the public. Some people got to play with it before that, but that's when it went on sale in stores. And that new version is called the EV3, which means the evolution to the third generation. The first generation was the RCX, the second generation was NXT, and now we have the third generation that we've evolved to, which is the EV3. So that's where we are today. So what's new and different? Some of the new features are it's modern. It can be controlled through modern devices like Android phones and Apple devices, iOS. So you can do interesting things like imagine having a voice controlled robot, because you can talk into your phone and then the phone can in turn control the robot. So there's some very, very new things that you can do by interfacing with this. You can also do that through your iPad, for example. Another new thing it has is it has a USB host port. Now, if you're familiar with the NXT, you might say, yeah, it had a USB port, but it had what was a USB communications port. Now it's a USB host port, which allows you to hook up many things that you couldn't do before. Like you can now do Wi-Fi, and so it might look the same, but it's not the same. It actually is a lot more flexible. It's not just one robot. The EV3 has online building instructions for 17 different robots, so it'll be a long time before you get bored doing things with this particular robot. I'm referring here specifically to the home model, and I'll talk a little bit more about the differences shortly. It has a lot more memory. It used to be 256 kilobytes. Now we're up to 16 megabytes, so that's a big deal. It has an infrared sensor and beacon. You could do remote control sorts of things, have the robot follow the beacon around, whatever you want. It can be creative. It has an SD card reader, which effectively allows you to have a lot more memory if you want to use it that way. The operating system used to be a proprietary operating system, and now they're using Linux. So this new operating system connected with this host port basically turns it into a full-fledged computer if you want to use it that way. Maybe you just want to use it for fun, but if you're a hobbyist, there's a lot you can do now that you couldn't do before. Of course, there's a faster processor, and there's a lot more. These are sort of what I see as the highlights. So if you have an older generation, this is what's new. If you're just getting into this, you can anticipate that you have a pretty modern and powerful device. So let's talk about the different kits. So the way Lego has organized this is they have what's called a home kit, and it looks like this. This is the home kit right here, and it has this transformer looking robot here. It goes for about $350 when I did this screen grab, and it looks like a whole lot of fun. But robotics is also used in a lot of educational environments. So Lego provides other kits like this educational kit here, and you can see it's pretty different. It has a different price. It comes with a little bin here that allows you to organize all the parts. So this actually is like a little tub you can put things in, but also the parts are slightly different, and I'll do a comparison. I mean, it has a brick, this has a brick, but in the details of the different sensors and so forth are slightly different, and I'll show you the differences soon. This one tends to have robot designs are a little bit cuter and more fun. They're intended for middle school students and so forth. There's also expansion kits that you can get if you want to just add parts. So like if you're using this in an education setting, you can add lots of interesting stuff to what comes in the basic set. If you want to focus on engineering, they also have a kit that does that. It's a different price, and it has lots of classroom instruction and that sort of thing for, in this case, they say for high school. So there's lots of different kits, and so you want to really think about if you're going to buy one of these or get one of these, which one of these do you actually want to get? If you're going to be using it at school, maybe you want to get the educational kit. If this is just for fun at home, it's a Christmas present, maybe you want the home version. But they are slightly different. There's software you can buy with them. Here's some software you can get that this is for the educational kit, and this allows you to do the programming here. This actually shows that LabVIEW language where you link together these icons to do something, and you can also monitor what the robot is doing. This is referred to as data logging, and that's a powerful thing, so you can actually monitor what the sensors are doing, and then you can use that in your programming to very fine-tune what it is that you're trying to do. So if you want to do data logging, that's great, and it's also designed for teachers. They can control the content that's in the software, so you can basically run a classroom based on this. So that's available. Of course, it doesn't end there. They provide large kits for classrooms with professional development. They'll come and teach you how to do it, extra sensors and so forth, and they'll also sell you one of these Wi-Fi dongles. This one's actually made by Netgear so that you can do Wi-Fi. So it's basically lots of stuff you can do. It doesn't end. So when you get into this, you want to think about exactly what fits what you're trying to do and what accessories might you need. So give that some thought. So here's a little bit of a comparison between the two versions. Here is the educational version, and here's the home version, and so you can see some of the differences here. Like this one has this sensor, this one doesn't. This one has 2 of these sensors, this one only has 1. This one has this sensor and this one doesn't. Similar here for this is for the infrared. So if you want to do infrared stuff, you might want to get the home version. If you want to have the ultrasonic sensor, you might want to do the educational version and so forth. In terms of the software, the educational software does some things like it has data logging. As I showed previously, the data logging software comes in the educational version, and it doesn't exist in the home version. Another difference that's a little bit more subtle is actually the firmware itself is actually a little bit different. And of course you can update the firmware and change it, but it's a little bit different. So for example, if you have the educational version, you can do data logging inside the brick, or you can do it through the software. But if you have the home version of the firmware, there's no data logging even within the brick, because they assume that you're going to be just using this for fun and you're not going to be doing fine-tuning things based on the exact values of what the sensors are doing. So again, they're slightly different, but they're very close. These are some of the differences. Okay, so let's focus now specifically on the home robots. I'm assuming now that you're getting one of these robots because you want to have just a lot of fun with it. It's not necessarily for education or school. And what Lego has provided in this class is 2 types of robots, one of which is called a starter robot, and those were designed by Lego. And there's another type of robot called the bonus robots, and those were developed by the community. And the starter robots, they provide, there's 5 of them, and so if you want to just use the Lego designs, you can just use these 5 starter robots. The bonus robots, there's 12 of these that were provided. These were developed by people who got robots early on and got to develop and contribute. And so there's a total of 17 designs that are out there. So let's take a look at what those look like. So I showed this already. You can see this sort of transformer looking guy. This is one based on one of the starter robots, which is based on the Everstorm. And this over here is just a variant of it. And then there's the Gripper, the Reptar, the Spiker, and the Tracker. And so you have basically two human type robots you can build, 2 animal type robots you can build, and sort of a car type robot you can build. And these are the 5 standard ones that come from Lego. And so they've developed the instructions for these a little bit more than the others. Now the community provided 12, which are all of these different designs that you can go and grab the instructions for, and you can build these too. Those are a little bit small, so let's look at those in a little bit more size. They're really, really pretty neat. Some of them are just what I would say standard robots. They look like this, and they're nice designs, but they're just robots. Some of them are more creative. Like this one I think is pretty neat. It actually is a printer. It really shows how you can use this robot to do things just outside the box. You don't have to think about making a robot do what we think of a robot maybe doing stereotypically. This one makes a guitar. This one actually plays a game. And there are others that do things like measure. The one that can actually measure the length of a beam. You can imagine using that in an educational setting. And this one actually plays the game whack-a-mole, where you use this stick and you whack on these guys to actually play a game. So if you get the designs that were designed by the community, there's just a wide range of different types of possibilities for using this robot. So try to look at all 17. Now to build the home robots, it's sort of interesting the way Lego has set this up. So there's, like I said, there's 5 starter robots, and they supply the designs. Lego supplies these. Interestingly, when you get the kit, and I'll show this in a little bit, the kit comes with paper instructions for only one of the robots, which is kind of interesting. So you need to figure out how to get the instructions for the other 4, because you're not going to get them out of the box. So there's 2 ways of doing that. One is you can use the internet. You can go on the web and you can get the designs for the starter robots that way. Or you can download the software and you can get the instructions by using the software directly on your computer. So there's 2 different ways of doing it. You have to figure out which one is best for you. I think it's better to just get the software because you're going to need it. For other reasons, just get it right away and go and use it that way. There are some nice things about the web that I'll show which allow you to follow the instructions and be able to rotate the robot in 3D. So there are some advantages to this too. So you probably want to learn both. Okay, and as I mentioned, there are 12 bonus robots that have been designed by the community, but the instructions for the bonus robots are either you have to download them from the web or through the software. And you have to download, say, a PDF file. You can't actually get the instructions from the web directly with the 3D rotation for the bonus robots. Those are only for the Lego designs. So you have to keep that in mind, that if you're going to be looking at all 17 robots, the instructions, you have to get them in slightly different ways. Or if you use the software, it's pretty consistent. Now, if you're going to make one of these designs or modify the designs, you're going to do it through the software. So like I said, you just want to get the software right away. You can even get that before you have your robot and start playing around with it. And that's where you can write the programs and download them directly into the brick. And I'll show that in a little bit. Okay. Sometimes if you're working on the starter robots, when you're in the software and you click on something, it actually might take you to the web. So the software recognizes that there's the 3D rotation capability on the web, and it may actually take you there. So the software and the web are actually, they are connected, and you can go not back and forth, but you can go from the software to the web if you're doing a starter robot and you want to do it in 3D. It's a little bit complicated. That's why I made this list so that you can just see that there's different possibilities here. But as I said, it's best to just download and learn the software right away, and then you can access everything, even if it's not the fancy 3D. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so let's imagine, for the sake of argument, we're doing one of the 5 starter robots, and we want to do that using the web. We're going to do that using the web. So we're not going to get the software, we just want to use the web. So we're going to go to this website where we can find this information, and what we see comes up are the EV3 starter robots, and there they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There they are. And if you click on one of them, you'll get a screen that pops up that looks like this. And you get a nice picture of the robot that you're going to build, and you have 2 options. You can either download the EV3 project, and I'll show you what happens when you do that later, because right now we want to do the web, so we're going to stay in the web. And so what we want to do is get the building instructions directly here from the web. So if you click on that, another screen will pop up that looks like this. You clear that, and you get the 5 designs here, and you can see you get these links that link to these different missions, and you can download the PDF. So you're still in the web, and now you have 2 options in the web. So you have option 1, you can click on one of these links, or option 2, you can click on this PDF. Now, what are the different missions? The different missions are just different variants of the same design. You might notice that so far in this video, when I've shown a picture of the Everstorm, there's slightly different designs, like his head looked different, and so forth. And so each one of these missions is a slightly different design. Like maybe this part is replaced with something else, and so forth. So still on the web, you have 2 options. You can either download the PDF, pick one of the missions, one of the specific sub-designs of the main design, and you can click on that. So when I say that there's 5 different robots, there's 5 main robots, and then there's 6 variants here, 4 variants here, 2 variants here, 5 variants for these 2. Okay, So that's how you can get the instructions, because like I said, they don't come with the kit. So you need to be able to navigate this. Okay, so first, what if you use the PDF? The PDF is interesting in its simplicity. This is page 2. There wasn't much on page 1. And on page 2, there's a picture of the robot, the final robot, what it's going to look like. Here's the brick. There's some motors and so forth here that drive it. And that's what you're going to end up with. So the way the instructions work is you get this box up here, and basically this box tells you this is what we're working on right now. And what you're going to need, you're going to need one of these, and you're going to need two of these. So go dig them out of the pile of pieces, and once you have found them, arrange them like this. And that's how it works. There are no words. And after following these simple set of directions, you will eventually end up with something that looks like that. So this is the way the PDF works. If you want to download the PDF, you can do it that way. But more interestingly is to click on one of those links. And if you click on one of those links, you'll go to this page where you actually have the instructions played out to you like a movie. Down here you can press the play button. There's a play button down here. You can see it going through, and you can basically watch the robot being built as you sit there. Now, what's nice about it is, of course, you can press the pause button and you can stop it whenever you want. And you also have all these controls on this side so that you can make it bigger or smaller and do whatever you need to view it as best you can. So that's what's really nice about using the web instructions, is being able to tap your way through down here, sequence by sequence, play it, and be able to control it. So another feature that comes into this is the ability to rotate it. So again, this is from the instructions on the web. Here's the head, and you can rotate it. Let me go here a little bit farther along. Now the whole robot is built, and you can rotate the robot in 3 dimensions, and you can make it smaller using the tools on the right, and you can look at any part of it that you need to. So using the web is really nice because you get this 3D rotation tool, which is really neat. But keep in mind that this has only been developed for the starter robots, the 5. Now, of course, there's 5 starter robots, and each of them has about 5 different missions, and so you can spend the next few years working on these starter robots and using this wonderful 3D web tool that they've developed. Okay, here's just a picture of what the different missions look like. This is mission 5 for the tracker. This one has this spinning, this thing rotates, knocks things out of its way. Here's mission 3. It has this thing that goes and picks things up. So just shows you what the different missions are. The basic robot's the same, but there's a different purpose associated with it. Okay, now that was using the web, and that was for the starter robots. So now let's turn to the bonus robots, the 12 bonus robots. So imagine we go back to this page like we were, and we look down a little bit lower. We shrink this, and we open up this part here, which is the bonus robots. And now there are 12 robots that go down. And this one I clicked on, so I get this picture here. Just like we did before, everything appears to be the same until you look right here, because you want to do 3D, and you look right here and it is empty. You can't click on it. The only option you have is to download the project. So that's a big difference between the bonus robots and the starter robots. This is not filled in. So what are you going to do? You need to download this. If you click on it, a file will download to your computer, and unless you've installed the software, it is going to do nothing. So the first thing you want to do is get the software. You're going to need that. And so what you do is you click on this button right here to get the software. Now where is this? This actually appears down here. So you can see that I cut this off when I did the screen grab. Down here there's some things down here, and this is right here. That's where you'll find it. You'll click on Go to download the software, and you'll get a screen that looks like this. and here's what you want to click on. Download to get the software. This is all being done on a Macintosh, so if you have a PC it'll look a little bit different, and obviously it'll say something else here. This is for OS X. Click on that and you get step 2, which is basically tells you just to click on this download, and then you have the software you need, and that software can read these files in addition to some other things. And so you want to do that right away so that you can download these projects. Okay, so this is what the software looks like. This part we're looking at right here is called the lobby, where you can look at the different robots. These are the starter robots. You can pull up the different robots. There's these little targets that you can put the mouse over, and it tells you a little bit about what the robot does. And it's a nice tool. It has some nice sounds that come with it. Now up here I have these 2 tabs. I've already loaded in here the instructions for the Reptar, and so you can see that you can sequence through the instructions just like looks just like the PDF. And here I have a tab for one of the bonus robots, and so here's the instructions for one of the bonus robots, and again you can sequence through. There's some pictures, and then here the details for how to actually go about building it. And so in this case I have the software already preloaded with one of the starter ones here and one of the bonus ones here. The rest of the screen, beneath this window, which you can close, this is the actual program for this robot. If you wanted to change the program, these are some of the building blocks for the program, which I'll show a little bit more about later. And then this part on the screen right here, this is for downloading the software into your brick for this particular design. So let's back up a little bit. Suppose I'm there in the lobby, I'm looking at these different robots. I can click on Create, and these are for the starter robots, so I click on Create. Now for the starter robots, I can then go in and the software, and there's the different missions. And so you actually get a picture of what the different missions are, and you can actually play a little movie to see if that's one of the ones that you want to do. And if you want to build it, you can then come up here, click on this icon here in the center, or you can click Start Building, either one. So if I just click on this, again, there's the instructions, and I can sequence through. It looks just like the instructions in the PDF. I'm going through here pretty quickly to the end. When you get to the end, it tells you you have to click on this icon. And if you click on that one, it's to download the program. And you can either do step by step, which is good for learning, or just go directly here and get all the instructions just pop up on the screen. All the programming pops up on the screen, and you just need to download it into your brick. And so the way that works is once you have the program here, suppose you just want that program, you don't want to modify it, you can say connect to your brick, and that will open up a website. So over here is the software, which is on your computer. It will open up a web page, and it has these great instructions for how to do all the downloading depending on how you want to do it. USB, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and it has all the instructions. You can see here it's showing you what it's going to look like, and you can see what that is it's this part of the screen, which represents the downloading into the brick after you've connected it to the computer. And so you can get all those instructions there, and you can access it directly from the software once you get to the point where everything is built. Okay, so what if you want to just do programming on your own, or you want to modify some of the programs? What I recommend doing is Lego actually supplies some pretty good videos. And so in here, when we've been in the lobby part of the software, we've been looking at this, there's actually some great videos down here. And I recommend starting with this one called Getting Started, and then work your way through them. It's actually quite useful. They did a good job of just showing you what you need to do. I could have done it in this video, but they did a great job of it, so I won't bother doing that. So if you want to just start from scratch, you can click this Add tab up here, and you can just start programming. And here's an example of how these icons work. You just drag and drop different things you want to do. This is for a medium motor. Drag that up. I can connect it, put it where I want it there, and so forth. And so this is sort of how you can get started with programming and downloading into your brick yourself. I'm not going to go into the details here because this is just an introductory video, but I just wanted you to see how you would start doing this if you wanted to go beyond the pre-programmed starter and bonus examples. Okay, so now let's actually look at one of these robots. Let's unbox one. So here's what one of these looks like. Here's a box. This is the home version, Mindstorms, and this is what the box looks like. It comes with a sleeve that you have to slide off, which has a lot more information on it. The back looks like this. The back of the sleeve has a lot more information because that's what you see if you pick it up in the store. And then the back of the actual box just has a little bit of information showing the infrared remote control and some of the designs. So that's what the box looks like. The sleeve actually is a mat, and so when you take that sleeve off, don't throw it away and don't tear it up. It's actually can be used for making different missions. You could put your robot here and have it go do something and return back to where it needs to return back to, or so forth. But that sleeve actually, if you just cut it with some scissors, makes the track. So don't tear it apart and don't throw it away. You want to keep the sleeve. What's in the box, if you dump it out, there's a whole bunch of different parts that come out. You can see here, this box contains the brick. You can see here's a motor, here's another motor, all kinds of different pieces. Stickers to make it look sort of transformer-ish, and there is the so-called instruction manual. So that's what's in the box. Notice that when you dump it out, that's it. They're just in these bags. The bags are somewhat organized. This is, different connectors logically put in this bag together. These ones are logically put in this bag together, but unfortunately, these are in these bags that can't be sealed. And there's no tub, there's no bin, there's no way to seal anything. So one of the first things you want to do before you get started is get organized. And what I started out doing is getting Ziploc bags so I can store everything. I got my own bin so that I could store all of the parts in, and it's good to do that right away because pretty soon these things start to get mixed up, and then it becomes very frustrating when you start to put this thing together. So get organized right away, get some Ziploc bags, get yourself a bin, get all the batteries you need, and you will be a lot less frustrated. Interestingly, as I showed earlier, the educational kit comes with some level of organization, but I guess they assume schools are more organized than home, and so they didn't provide that. But you can do it. Okay, so here's the brick coming out of the box with its own particular instructions. We're going to put the batteries in and so forth. And here's what it looks like. Have your batteries ready because it's going to be pretty exciting when you pull that out. So make sure you have all those batteries on hand. Here's the machine starting up. Here's what the brick looks like when it's on. It has a green light. It has 4 different tabs that you can sequence through with these buttons to do different things, and then you can go up and down and select things from these menus to do whatever it is you need to do. Like for example, if you build the demo that comes with the instruction manual, you'll have to go in here, find the demo, and start it. And then this is what it looks like when it's shutting down. Okay, here is just a comparison with the old version. So this one is the NXT, and here is the EV3, that's the new one. You can see they look pretty similar, but one of the things you notice, there's 4 ports on each of them. That really hasn't changed. But what you see is there's more buttons. There's a new button here, and this one essentially has another button here compared to the NXT. So there's more buttons to have more control. You can see the screen is quite a bit bigger. It's still a simple black and white screen, but it's a lot bigger and therefore easier to read. Here's what it looks like from another angle. This one has the USB port here, and it has 3 of these ports, whereas this one has 4 and a PC port here. And then if you look at it from the side, the NXT essentially has nothing over here, but this now has the USB port on this side instead of over here, and it has the SD card reader. And so it's a little bit different, quite a bit expanded. But definitely one thing that's nice is the much larger screen. That's actually quite nice. What's in it that's fun and interesting? In addition to the usual Lego pieces, you have these particular components in the home version. So this is, again, just to remind you, this is the home version. And what you have over here is you have 2 large servo motors. You have a medium servo motor. It comes with a touch sensor. It comes with a color sensor. Of course, there's the brick. There's 2 pieces that are the infrared sensor and the infrared beacon, allow you to do remote control type things. So these are the motors and sensors and brain that come with it, in addition to all of those other Lego parts to actually build up something. Okay, so here's the manual that comes with it. It's pretty simple. As you can see, this tells you, basically is telling you here, put the batteries in your remote control, put the batteries in your brick if you haven't done that already. This is what the manual looks like. Like I said, it's one design. This is the design that it talks about, and it has these instructions that I talked about earlier, just like the PDF. It's just like the PDF, except for it's just for this one design. And again, no words, very simple. Just follow through what you need to do. At the end of the manual, there are some instructions for how to actually get the demo started by basically going through the brick and pushing. It tells you which buttons to push. It tells you how many times to push them. And so it's very simple to get up and going with the one design that's there. And then some instructions here to tell you how to go get the designs for the other 4 using the software, which I showed you already how to get. Okay, so here is a design. I decided to do the basic design. I modified it ever so slightly. So here are the instructions. I'm following through. I have 2 of the motors here connected to some of the basic parts, and here I've now added the brick to the center, and then just different angle, and now I'm adding the motor control for these tractor tires. I just have to add this next one in and I'll be done. This is the basic demo. As you follow through, you'll do the basic demo and then you add different pieces to that. And so here's what it looks like. You can see my kids absolutely love it. And then the next step is to add different pieces to it. And so here I've added, in this case I've added just the infrared here. This is the infrared sensor, which goes through this cable over here, and I have the infrared beacon, and then I can run that. So here's what that looks like. Basically, you can make yourself a simple remote control car pretty quickly, and all controlled by that infrared beacon. And so that's one of the first projects that I did. Okay, so what next? There's a lot of things you can do. Of course, if you get this kit, the first thing you're going to do is focus on building all of those 17 models. The printer, the whack-a-mole game, the guitar, there's so many different things you can do. But what Lego has also provided is a community web page where you can go and either get new designs or you can actually share designs. And so here you can upload your own robot. You can search for different types of robots that you might be interested in doing and building. And here are some examples over here where someone designed this robot. They uploaded it. They tell you a little bit about it. You can actually, this one hasn't been ranked yet, but you can get 5 stars. Here's someone else's design here. And so they built this community website so that you can share all of your designs and get all types of new designs from other people. So even though you have this basic 17 models, every month, every year, there's going to be a lot more that people are developing and sharing. If you want to get really involved, Lego, of course, has these FLL, or First Lego League. If you're involved in this stuff at school already, you might know about this, but something to be aware of if you want to get involved in these sort of league sort of activities. And if you want to use this at school, which would be a nice thing, imagine you can do this at home and at school. You can convince your teachers to incorporate this in computer science, and incorporate it into your science class, technology, engineering, and your math class. That would be a great thing. That way you can play with your robot at home and then play with it at school. What a great thing that would be. So all these resources are available at these different websites if you want to go beyond the basic 17 models. Beyond that, in terms of the educational possibilities, it doesn't end there, not surprisingly. There are Lego education web pages and YouTube videos that have been developed with NASA and so forth, doing all kinds of neat things. So go out there and look at all of these. This is actually a YouTube channel page which has all these videos, and I'm sure that this will be added to quite a bit as time goes on. And again, if you love playing with these robots at home and you want to do it at school, go tell your teachers you want to get involved in robotics for STEM. Hopefully your teachers will know what that means, and then you can do this at home and at school and learn a lot. So in summary, I've discussed the EV3 robot, in particular talking about the different kits that are available. Make sure you get the one that's right for you. Is this for home, or you want to get this for education? If you're a teacher or a coach, you probably want to look at the educational versions. If you just want to get this for your kids for Christmas, you probably want to get that home version so you don't have to deal with a lot of the details. Like I said, most of the instructions have to be accessed electronically because the instruction manual only has instructions for one robot. There's 3 ways of doing that. You can download the PDF. I showed you what that looked like. For the starter models, you can get the web instructions in 3D and do lots of neat rotations. Or you can download the software and go through the software and get the instructions for either the starter or the bonus robots. So there's different ways of doing that. And then in terms of resources, as I said, there's a community design website out there. There's a lot of educational websites that Lego and other people have developed with an emphasis on STEM, which is all important right now in the educational system, and even a really good website, web channel that they have on YouTube. And then I just want to mention that this was just a short introduction. There's a lot of stuff I didn't cover, and those will be covered in future videos. Obviously, there's a lot of very interesting details. So if you are watching this and there's something that you think was really useful that I didn't mention, please put it in the comments below so that other people can know about this, and maybe I'll make another video about something that's mentioned specifically, or you can link to some other website that you find has a lot more detail. So with that, thank you for coming here to New Planet School. Hope to see you back here soon.